Are you considering studying in Germany? Do you know the difference between a sponsorship letter and a blocked account? Or wondered which guarantees your visa approval at your interview? Then this video is for you. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is evalsametta, aka Sammy Sticks, aka that fresh, yummy, hot chocolate. If you've decided in studying in Germany, then you should already be aware of the proof of funds you need to tender. You should already be aware of the proof of funds, which includes number one, the sponsorship letter, the blocked account, and the third one is the scholarship. Of course, which is not our focus on today's video. Recent times, I've seen students always argue. Some have even sent me messages on Instagram asking which is more important to the other. That is it sponsorship letter or is it the blocked account? Now, in this video, I'm going to tell you all of the pros and cons, the requirements you need to meet for the sponsorship letter and that of the blocked account. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you which guarantees your visa approval. Now, what is a sponsorship letter or declaration of commitment? The declaration of commitment for the purpose of studies or a language course in Germany is a formal obligation by a resident of Germany to cover all the costs of the student for the duration of his or her studies. The costs to be covered include the money for food, clothing, medical treatment, accommodation, etc. This document serves as a proof that the visa applicants are able to finance their stay in Germany completely. Hence, the declaration of commitment is something that you as a future student in Germany might need for your successful visa application. Now, the question is, who is qualified to sponsor? First of all, this person should be residing in Germany. Second, needs to be a citizen of Germany or the EU or have an appropriate residence permit. Thirdly, the sponsor needs to have sufficient creditworthiness. Put differently, so he or she needs to have enough money to be able to cover your living costs during your stay in Germany. You might be asking yourself, what does enough money mean here? It's of utmost importance to underline that the amount of money needed to serve as proof of sufficient creditworthiness of your sponsor depends on various aspects. For example, they require monthly net income to submit a declaration commitment for a student visa depends on your sponsor's marital status and maintenance obligation. It's expected that your sponsor is meant to have sufficient amount of money in his or her account after his or her monthly expenses. That is to say, if your sponsor has kids, he or she should be able to have ample amount of money to sponsor you as well. The kids invariably are dependent on the father's source of income or the mother's source of income. So you should have ample amount of money to be able to, the sponsor should have ample amount of money to be able to sponsor you, the student who is coming to Germany. That's why that is a little bit dicey. But if your sponsor is single, then he or she should have sufficient amount of money after his monthly expenses for you who's coming in as a student. Based on research carried out in most German cities, so to submit a declaration of commitment, which is also known as the sponsorship letter for studies, the sponsor's net income should be at least 2,500 euros. To provide a declaration of commitment for a person coming to study in Germany. It's also important to know that your potential sponsor will not be liable to apply for the sponsorship letter or declaration of commitment if he or she is receiving social benefits from the government, that is, including unemployment benefits, does not have a relevant resident status. For example, she has just a temporary residency permit, like Fiction Bescheinigung or a Dudung. And lastly, maybe he or she is an asylum seeker here in Germany. And you should know that this person is not qualified to sponsor you who is coming to Germany to study. Is the sponsorship letter or declaration of commitment gotten? It is issued by the city's immigration office, aka or standard beholder of your sponsor. The sponsor has to apply for a termin in the immigration office either by going to their respective website or the immigration office, or by placing a phone call across to the immigration office. It cuts across different immigration office. It might be through the website, or simply just putting a phone call through and taking a termin to get a sponsorship letter. You have to know one thing: it takes quite a while for the letter to be issued. Again, it depends on the immigration office. In most big cities, it takes a long while in smaller cities, it takes a shorter amount of time to get this letter processed. In some cases, I have seen where some immigration office gives you a termin and you meet all of the requirements. You are issued the declaration of commitment letter there on the spot. After you pay the required processing fee, you are issued the letter. This only happens in most smaller cities. But in bigger cities, it takes a while. You might be given a termin, you go for the termin, you submit all of the documents, it is cross-examined, and then they get back to you either through email or they give you a call of when you have to come back to the immigration office to pick up the document, if it's successful or it's not successful. In some cases, they send you an email to tell you that it has been successful. In some cases, you only know when you get determined to come pick up the document. There you have it. One thing you should know is that so long as the sponsor meets all of the requirements, all of the requirements from financial status, resident status, he or she will be issued the declaration of commitment. Now, what are the documents required by your sponsor to submit? From the student's angle, you are meant to send the documents to your sponsor in PDF via email. What are these documents? It includes your admission letter, your enrollment document, that is if you are enrolled already, and your international passport, the data page, where your picture shows your name and all other information as regards to you. The sponsor's angle, he or she needs to submit his bank statement or monthly payslip. In this case, payslip might be required for 4 months or 3 or 5 months. It depends on the immigration office. Residency status, which could be permanent resident, citizenship holder, or a resettlement document. This will also suffice. A payslip is required to know if the sponsor is qualified financially to sponsor you. The processing fee for the sponsorship letter is 29 euros in most German cities. It's a non-refundable fee. Even if your visa is rejected, how long is the sponsorship letter valid for? The sponsorship letter is valid for a period of 5 years, being issued and used at the embassy. That is, it has been issued by the immigration office. You got the sponsorship letter and you went for your interview and you used it, you submitted it and it was accepted. It is now valid for 5 years. That is, after you must have also gotten your visa, you now know it's valid for 5 years and also valid for 5 months after issuance of the sponsorship letter. What does this mean? So it was applied for, it was approved, and it was sent to you, the student, by your sponsor to use for your visa application. If, for example, you have a delayed waiting time for your appointment, then it is always advisable that your sponsor applies for this letter 2 or 3 months before you get your date for appointment. So applies for this document and it is approved and sent to you, and you don't get your appointment after 5 months. This letter is deemed to be expired, starting from the date of issuance. If the date runs for 5 months and you don't go for interview, the letter expires, and then you have to go through the hassle of applying for a new one, and you don't want. And you know what that means, especially if you apply in a bigger city. Note that this letter must be signed and stamped by the issuing immigration office of your sponsor. Also, a provision is made where the sponsor has to sign as well. You might be asking yourself, does the document stop working? Of course it does. Declaration of commitment will stop working on several occasions. For example, the declaration of commitment is not valid anymore if in the case that the document has expired, or you left Germany, or you change the purpose of your stay. For example, when you finalize your studies and convert your study visa to a job visa, then the letter stops working. Also, there are things you need to look out for in the declaration of commitment letter. These things are really important and attention should be paid here, because most students just get this sponsorship letter and don't check these things. Most times these letters are sent, like maybe screenshot, and sent for you to verify if the document matches your information, and also if these following things I'm about to mention are ticked. I have had some cases where students get this letter and a different thing is ticked, which doesn't match the study purpose, and then when they go for the interview, the letter is rejected. First thing you should check is that your names, your passport number, your address is correct. Also, you should also make sure that nachgewiesen, which means in German proven, this states that the document has been cross-checked, the status of the sponsor has been also cross-checked, and he or she meets the requirements to sponsor you. It's always ticked nachgewiesen. Also, if you check your respective website of the foreign office in your country, that is, it could be an embassy or consulate in your country, on their website, this is also stated that nachgewiesen must be marked. Only if nachgewiesen is marked, then the letter is accepted by the embassy in your country. Other things which might be marked, which you should look out for, is glaubhaft gemacht. This means credible. Now, this can be marked, which is saying he or she has a good record, but this doesn't mean he meets the financial requirement for sponsoring a student. Glaubhaft gemacht. This is not credible to sponsor you. Also, nicht nachgewiesen. That is to say, it's not been proven that you can sponsor a student to study in Germany. Also, you should look on the left-hand side of the document that it's usually always written in German that the document is valid for the duration of studies. It's always written. You should pay rapt attention to this in this document. Also, longer than 3 months is always written. In German, it's written monatslanger. That is longer than 3 months. The purpose of coming is for studium, that is studies, not visit. I have seen situations whereby a sponsorship letter was marked for just visit and it was rejected because you are coming to study, not visit. Visit is just for a period of 90 days, and that is not what you are coming for. You are coming for a period of more than 90 days, that is more than 3 months. So you should also check that studium is written at the back of the sponsorship letter. Information is vital. Just in case your sponsor doesn't know all of these things, you can as well explain to the sponsor to check out all of these things before leaving the immigration office with the document. If you're using the sponsorship letter, it's someone who you know. I mean, could be friend, could be your relative, could be anyone, but just make sure that you know about this person. Because during your interview at the consulate or at the embassy, you would be asked questions regarding your sponsor. I made a video concerning these sort of questions in your interview. One One of the advantages of using the sponsorship letter is that upon arrival to Germany, you renew your resident card after 2 years. What this means is that you get a 6-month visa to come to Germany. Upon arrival, to get your resident card, you get a 2 years valid resident card. In some cases, you might have to renew after 1.5 years, at least till the 5 years validity elapses. What is a German blocked account? German blocked account is an account for international students and also job seekers where you can deposit a fixed amount of money. This money is then locked and released in monthly installments to the account holder. When you have sufficient funds to support yourself during your stay in Germany, you're not going to be a liability to the government. There are various providers of the blocked account. You have Expatrio, you have Coracle, you have Fintiba, you have the Deutsche Bank. They are all recognized by the German government. Also know that the amount for blocked account as at 2024 is 11,208 euros, and this is valid for a period of 12 months, that is 1 year. This money is not for the German government, it's for you. So when you come to Germany, you are going to unlock the block account, then have a current account where this money will be disbursed to you on a monthly basis. So every month you get at least 934 euros in your current account for your expenses. Successfully opening the blocked account with any of the providers I mentioned earlier, you have to wire a total amount of 11,208 euros. In some cases, there are like buffer fees where you have to also include them when you're transferring this amount, which you get a confirmation document from any of the providers of which you are going to take to the embassy on the day of your interview. And just so you know, the embassy also has ways of confirming if the document you submitted is genuine or not. So they also have a way of confirming from the bank to know if this amount of money in the account opened by you with any of these providers. So one thing you should know is that some of these embassies also ask for source of this blocked account. That is, they want to know where you got the money. Is it like a loan? Is it like support from your family or support from maybe your organization? Like, they just want to know the source. It's not the same for every embassy. It cuts across different embassies in different countries. To extend your resident permit, they might ask you for half the amount of the blocked account, or they might ask you for 2,000 to 3,000 euros in your account, that is your current account, and your payslip to extend your resident permit. Like I said earlier, it all depends on the immigration office. Different rules apply to different immigration office. No one rule is the same. So you also want to do your research as regards to your city where you will be living. Like I said at the beginning part of this video, I said I was going to tell you which of them is the guarantee for your visa approval. Now, in a nutshell, none of these documents is a guarantee for your visa approval. If the immigration officer notices 1 or 2 irregularities in your visa application, then it's an automatic rejection. Sponsorship letter or blocked account. Make a decision of which of these documents you use for your application. Until the next time, I love you guys. Stay focused, stay motivated. Ciao.